Quiñones. Quiñones. I told you.
Wow. The start of the World Cup. We couldn't have asked for anything better. This was the craziest start to the World Cup. These first two games showed us what this World Cup is going to be all about. Guys, obviously, I told you guys we're going to be going crazy this World Cup. At the end of every single day, we are going to be doing a daily recap. And this is the first daily recap for the first day of football. Now, I'm recording this currently. It's 12:31. It's past midnight right now. I just finished watching the South Korea against Czech Republic game, and what an incredible game. Along with the Mexico game, as you saw in the intro, I was at the fan zone in Toronto, and these games were crazy. Absolute cinema. Honestly, I don't think I could have asked for a better first day to the World Cup. The goals, the gameplay, the quality on display, the controversy. We're going to talk about it all today, guys. We're going to talk about it all in today's video. But we need to start off with the first game, and that was Mexico against South Africa. Now, a lot of hype for this game, as this is the same opening match that we saw in the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Obviously, we saw Chabalala score that crazy goal. Mexico, they weren't incredible, but there was definitely a few standout players. The first player I need to mention is the main man up top, Quiñones. I think he was definitely the man of the match. I think at the club level, yes, he's not playing in the best league, but with whatever his club is, Al-Qadsia, he's been scoring a lot of goals. And with Mexico, yes, maybe the goals haven't came in that same fashion, but I feel like he took his goal brilliantly, obviously opened the scoring in the 9th minute for Mexico. And from there, I feel like South Africa were always on the back foot. I don't think South Africa came out with their best lineup, and I'm not really sure why Hugo Bruce decided to play this lineup. I feel like a player like Apolis 100% should have started in this game. I don't know why he didn't play with some of their wingers. He went with a very strange formation. We saw Reyners playing at the top. I wasn't really a big fan of it. I feel like Hugo Bruce didn't really come up with the best lineup, but at the same time, this was poor from South Africa. Like I said, Mexico scored very early, so it did put them on the back foot, and obviously being played in Mexico, you knew it was going to be tough, but I did not expect such a battering from Mexico, who weren't even that good. I didn't think Mexico were that good, but it just shows you how bad South Africa were in this game. Now, obviously, they ended up getting the red card at the start of the second half from Sitole. You know, it was definitely a clear red card. Mexico were on the breakaway, comes from behind, definitely a red card. No problem with that red card. As we move on, we saw Raul Jimenez score a fantastic header. What a cross that was to him. What a pass and what a header for Raul Jimenez. He was the other goal scorer in this game. Both Quiñones and Jimenez were probably the two better players in this Mexican team. I think Fidalgo and Lira also had a very good game as well. But then this is where a lot of controversy came, and it's the next two red cards. We saw a red card to Zawane in the 84th minute, and then at the end of the game to Montes, the center back, in the 92nd minute. 3 red cards in one game. Guys, in the whole of the 2022 World Cup, in every single match, we saw a total of 4 red cards. In this World Cup, there's already 3 red cards in the first match. I don't know how. This referee, Wilton Sampaio, Brazilian referee, didn't really speak the best English. I remember on one of the VAR checks, he was trying to say something. I have no idea what he was trying to say. But I feel like both the second and third red card, they're very 50-50 and maybe a little bit harsh. Obviously, for the second South African red card, Zwane was trying to get by the player. He kind of hit him in the face, hit him in the back of the head a little bit. It didn't seem like it was intentional, but the referee saw the contact with the head and therefore gave him a red card. And on the Mexican side of things, Montes, he was defending, I forget who it was. I think it was Mokoena. It might have been another player, had the ball in the box, not in the box, just outside the box. He got past Montes and Montes takes him down. But the thing is that he wasn't really facing towards goal. His touch before Montes take him down kind of took him away from goal. Like the touch was away from the goal. So therefore, in my opinion, I think a yellow card would have probably been more of the right call, but I could still see the red card. So like I said, both of the second and third red cards were pretty 50-50, but at the end of the day, the referee decided to go with 3 red cards, which is crazy. But this game put Mexico at the top of the group. Obviously 3 points, 2+ goal difference. South Africa at the bottom with a -2 goal difference. And like I said, Mexico were the better team in this game, right? They definitely were. They dominated majority of possession. South Africa could barely string together like 10 passes, and their attackers, whether it's Reyners, whether it's Foster, arguably the worst players in the game. Every time they got the ball, they did nothing with it. For me, the best players on South Africa was probably Mbokazi, their goalkeeper. Ronwen Williams made a couple saves as well. But other than that, they didn't really perform at all. This guy, this bald guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mudau, he was okay as well. But Mexico, I think, were clearly the better team. And I actually don't think this was a top Mexican performance. I think it was okay. It was okay. You know, this is like a classic, like Javier Aguirre performance. Like, it was okay, but I feel like they could have done better. But standout performances for both Quinones and Jimenez. And now Mexico are sitting first place in the group. And it was, at the end of the day, a great result for them. But South Africa, this is worrying. Moving on to the next game, because the next game I just got done watching. It just finished about half an hour ago. This game was crazy. Absolutely insane. Now, I'm going to start off by talking about South Korea, because South Korea is a nation that I've really been doubting leading into this World Cup. I have nothing against South Korea. I just feel like in recent friendlies and recent international competitions, I don't feel like they've been performing to the level that I would expect them to. And against Czech Republic, I was predicting a draw from this game. I think the Mexico game, I predicted a win. I think a lot of people did, and I think that was the most possible result. But in this game, it really could have went either way. I went for a draw. It ended in a 2-1 win to South Korea, but I was impressed. I was impressed. And in a South Korean team where a lot of people have been throwing a lot of shade on their manager, Myung-Bo Hong, a lot of people have been talking a lot of negativity about him, about how sometimes he doesn't get the results that he needs. But I think the players that he chose for today's game, and I think the players themselves, played fantastically. Fantastically. Other than their finishing, because realistically, they probably could have scored at least 3 goals in this game. They were very good. They were very, very good. We saw Heung-min Son have some great performances. Obviously, there's Lee, and Lee. There's a lot of Lees, but most of them were good. A lot of these South Korean players were very, very good in this game. I thought their passing was brilliant. The way they were passing the ball, the quick counter-attacking play. I thought in the first half, a lot of the times they were going direct to the attackers, straight from the defense into the attack, direct play, trying to use their pace and their dribbling ability to catch out Czech Republic. But in the second half, I thought South Korea changed up the way they were playing. I thought they were playing more possession style of football. I thought they were making a lot more passes. They were playing a little bit slower, but they were really trying to build up play and trying to get goals that way, which is different from what they did in the first half, which I was very impressed with. And the way they were passing the ball, honestly, Czech Republic are lucky that they only lost by 1 goal in this game. And obviously, after the first half ended 0-0, going into the second half with that early header from Krejci, obviously a long throw in from Kufal, which they did so much, and Krejci, a fantastic header, incredible header, right? Kim had no chance to save that. Amazing header, great goal, but definitely against the run of play. And coming into this game, we knew that Czech Republic, they were going to focus on set pieces, because having a very, very tall team compared to obviously South Korea having a much shorter lineup, we knew that set pieces was going to be their strength. And they actually scored another goal off of a set piece, but it was ruled out offside. It was from a free kick. Suchek got the goal, but it was ruled out for offside. But after that goal, 1-0 up to Czech Republic, I thought there's no way they're going to upset South Korea. There's no way. South Korea have definitely been the better team. And at the end of the day, their performance did come out on top. We saw a great goal by Huang not too long after the first goal in the 67th minute. Fantastic goal. And then the second goal by O. Brilliant goal. Brilliant goal. Both goals were absolutely fantastic. I thought both of them were very well taken. I thought the build up to both of the goals was very, very nice. And I think South Korea deserved the win. I think they 100% deserve the win. I think the best player on Czech Republic's team was their goalkeeper Kovar. He made some very, very good saves, a lot of very good saves. Now, to be fair, South Korea's finishing wasn't at that level that it needed to be, but Kovar made some very, very good saves. I thought his decision making was very good. Sometimes we saw South Korea on the break, one-on-one with the keeper, and I thought his ability to come out and claim the ball was very good. His ability to come out and make himself big. Obviously, he's a very tall goalkeeper, about 6'6". So his ability to come out and really make himself big, close the gaps of the net was very, very good. And that's why South Korea struggled to score so much in the first half until about the 60th minute, until they got their first goal. But honestly, in this game, South Korea proved me wrong. South Korea proved me wrong because I've been saying leading up to the World Cup, I don't trust them. And I think what they showed me in this game is, yes, they may not have the best quality team, but the way all these players play together as a unit, their chemistry with each other, the understanding of how each of the players play in their specific role, and the way that they can string together such fast passes, the way they can dribble with such agility. Obviously, most of these players are shorter players, lower center of gravity, against a much taller team in Czech Republic. They were no match for Czech Republic. They were able to get by them so easily. They were so much faster, and they relied heavily on that in the first half. But then the way they changed up the tactics, they played a more possession style of football in the second half. I thought it was really good management by their manager, who, like I said, has been under a lot of criticism. But we have to give the credit to these players. We have to give the credit to these players, especially their midfielder, Huang, Inbom Huang. Incredible. Got the goal, got the assist. He was fantastic. Kang and Lee, very good as well. Honestly, congratulations to this South Korea team, because to be 1-0 down against a very stubborn Czech Republic team. Honestly, sometimes when I saw them playing, when I saw how they were trying to score, it reminded me of Arsenal. So for South Korea to come back after being 1-0 down, score 2 late goals, it was incredible by them. And they had so much support in that stadium in Guadalajara. Other than Mexican fans, it was all South Korea. We saw maybe a few hundred Czechia supporters, maybe a couple thousand, maybe at the most. But South Korea had, it looked like almost half the stadium full of their fans. So they had loads of fans, loads of support, and it showed because they were the more confident team throughout the whole game. And even when Czechia were doing certain things, when they had the ball, we heard the boos. We heard them. And when South Korea got that first goal, you knew that that was going to galvanize their team. And then obviously that last goal by he's been fantastic with Besiktas. He scored multiple goals with them. And now with South Korea, it shows you that they actually have decent depth. Obviously their starting formation is very good, but even coming off the bench, we saw Hwang Hee-chang, we saw a few players that have the quality to score goals. And I personally didn't realize that with South Korea, but after their performance in this game, I think I would probably change around my standings. Obviously, originally I had Czechia finishing in second place. With South Korea getting this win, I don't think there's any way that they get knocked out in their group stages. I think they 100% advance to the knockout stages. The opening games today were fantastic. Mexico getting a great result against South Korea. Yes, maybe not the best performance, but got the job done. Some great individual performances, and South Korea just absolutely capitulated. But on the other hand, South Korea, for me, were the best team today. Their performance was incredible. Czechia weren't that good, but the way that South Korea played, the way they were managed in that game, it was absolutely fantastic. Now, obviously, guys, we're going to be releasing these videos after every single day of games during the World Cup, right? We're going to be doing day 1 recap, which is today, day 2 recap, which is tomorrow, day 3 recap, which is Saturday. We're going to be recapping every single day of games during this World Cup. Now, obviously, most of these videos are going to come out very late or very early for wherever you live. So I may have to keep my voice down because I have people in my house sleeping downstairs. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, remember to subscribe to the channel, and obviously tomorrow we are going to be going live at the Toronto fan zone to watch Canada's opening match against Bosnia. So stay tuned for that. But obviously, if you're excited for all the World Cup content, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.